It is 3 in the morning. The city outside is asleep, but you are wide awake, a prisoner in your own home. The chains you wear are not made of iron, but of numbers on a screen, of bills you cannot pay, of a future that feels more like a threat than a promise. This is the modern slavery of the soul, a quiet desperation fueled by financial fear. You feel the weight of it in your chest, a constant humming anxiety that steals your peace and poisons your waking moments. You chase wealth, but all you find is worry. You seek freedom, but all you build are taller walls for your prison. But what if I told you that the key to breaking these chains was forged 2,000 years ago? What if the path to true financial freedom was not hidden in complex trading algorithms or get-rich-quick schemes, but in the timeless wisdom of ancient philosophers who faced plagues, exile, and the collapse of empires with unshakable calm? I am talking about the Stoics, men like Seneca, a wealthy advisor who wrote about mastering desire, Epictetus, a slave who became one of history's most influential thinkers on freedom, and Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who ruled the world but fought his greatest battles within his own mind. This is not another video about budgeting tips or hot stock picks. This is a journey into the heart of your relationship with money. We will not be balancing your checkbook. We will be fortifying your soul. We will explore the art of Stoic wealth, a profound understanding that financial resilience is not built in the bank, but in the mind. It is the art of desiring little, enduring much, and being the master of your inner world, regardless of the chaos in the outer world. Prepare to transform your fear into strength and your anxiety into action. Before we take our first step on this path together, I ask for a small but meaningful gesture. Please take a moment to click the like button and subscribe to our channel. This is not for vanity metrics, but for our shared mission. Each subscription helps this message of hope and strength reach someone else who is awake at 3 in the morning, feeling trapped and alone. By joining our community, you are lighting a beacon for others who are lost in the same darkness, helping us build a legion of modern financial stoics. Thank you for that. Now, let us begin by meeting the person you might be today. We will call him the financial slave. He is not bound by a physical master, but his every decision is dictated by money. He chooses his job not based on passion, but on the salary that can service his debts. He wakes up with a jolt of fear, his first thought being about the stock market's opening bell. He lives in a constant state of comparison, his happiness rising and falling with his ability to acquire what others have. His life is a frantic race on a treadmill, running faster and faster only to stay in the same place. The financial slave's world is built on a foundation of sand, shaped by the relentless winds of consumerism. He is told 1,000 times a day that the next purchase will be the one that finally brings him happiness. A new car, a bigger house, the latest phone. Each acquisition provides a fleeting moment of relief, a temporary high before the emptiness returns, now demanding an even bigger dose. He is chasing a horizon that recedes with every step he takes, never understanding that the game is rigged against him from the very start, designed to keep him wanting more. As Seneca wisely wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." The financial slave is spiritually destitute, not because his wallet is empty, but because his desires are infinite. He has been conditioned to believe that his self-worth is tied to his possessions. He displays his wealth like a peacock displays its feathers, desperate for the validation and envy of others, yet feeling deeply insecure beneath the surface. He doesn't own his things own him, demanding his time, his energy, and his peace of mind. This relentless pursuit of more has led him down a dark and treacherous path, the path of debt. Each credit card swipe, each loan taken for a lifestyle he cannot afford, adds another link to his invisible chains. Debt, as Seneca also noted, is the slavery of the free. It is a cruel master that whispers promises of instant gratification while demanding a future of servitude in return. The financial slave spends his precious life energy, his irreplaceable hours, working to pay for things he bought in the past, robbing his present self to please a past self he no longer recognizes. The interest payments are the whip of his master, a constant reminder of his bondage. The weight of his obligations dictates his tolerance for a soul-crushing job. It silences his dreams of starting a business, of traveling, of spending more time with his loved ones. He cannot afford to take risks. He cannot afford to be bold. Debt has made him timid and compliant. He lives in a cage with golden bars, a comfortable prison where the sentence is a lifetime of quiet servitude, his potential slowly suffocating under the crushing burden of his financial obligations. He looks at his life and sees a mountain of what he owes, not a field of what he owns. The joy of his possessions has long since faded, but the pain of paying for them remains, a dull ache that never truly goes away. He feels like a fraud, projecting an image of success to the world while privately drowning in a sea of red ink. The stress manifests physically, in sleepless nights, in a constant tension in his shoulders, in a heart that beats a little too fast when he thinks about the future. This is the heavy price of living beyond one's means. In moments of extreme desperation, the financial slave seeks a shortcut, a miracle to deliver him from his self-made prison. This is where the siren song of the online casino and the betting app becomes irresistible. He sees the flashing lights and promises of jackpots not as a form of entertainment, but as a genuine escape plan. He tells himself he is different, that he is smarter than the others, that he can beat the system. He is not gambling. He is investing in a final, desperate hope to erase his mistakes with a single stroke of luck. He places his bets, his heart pounding with a toxic mix of hope and fear. A small win hooks him, flooding his brain with a pleasure more intense than any purchase could provide. It feels like power, like control, but it is an illusion. The losses inevitably follow, bigger and more devastating. He begins to chase his losses, throwing good money after bad in a frantic attempt to get back to even. He is no longer trying to win. He is just trying not to drown, pulling himself deeper underwater with every panicked stroke. He is sacrificing his future for a fleeting moment of false hope. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught a fundamental lesson that the gambler cannot grasp. The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. The gambler fixates on the turn of a card, the spin of a wheel, things utterly outside his control. He abdicates his true power, the power to choose discipline, to choose patience, to choose the slow and steady path of building in favor of bowing before the altar of pure chance. This abdication of control extends to his investments. The financial slave is not an investor. He is a speculator, a reactor. He watches the stock market with the same desperate anxiety as he watches a slot machine. When the market is up, he is euphoric and greedy, pouring in money at the very peak of the hype. When the market is down, he is consumed by terror, selling his assets at the very bottom, crystallizing his losses out of pure panic. He is a puppet, and his strings are pulled by two of the most destructive forces in human nature: fear and greed. He reads the headlines every morning, his mood for the day set by the grim pronouncements of financial pundits. He is addicted to the noise, constantly checking his portfolio, reacting to every meaningless fluctuation. He has forgotten that he is investing for a future decades away, instead behaving as if his entire life's worth is being decided in the next 5 minutes. He has given the market complete and total power over his emotional state, allowing an abstract entity to dictate his peace of mind. He has invited the chaos of the world into the sanctuary of his soul. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, wrote in his private meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The financial slave has not realized this. He believes his turmoil comes from the red arrows on the screen, from the inflation reports, from the geopolitical news. He fails to see that the true source of his suffering is not the events themselves, but his judgment about them. The real market crash is not happening on Wall Street. It is happening within his own mind, a collapse of reason and a surrender to panic. His inner world is a storm of what-ifs. What if I lose my job? What if the market never recovers? What if I can never retire? Each question is a lash of the whip, driving him deeper into a state of powerless anxiety. He lives perpetually in a dreaded future, never finding peace in the present moment. This constant mental anguish is the true cost of his financial servitude. It is a tax levied on his soul, paid daily in the currency of his tranquility, his focus, and his happiness. He is poor in the most profound sense of the word. He is exhausted from pretending, from worrying, from running. He reaches a point where the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. He is at the bottom, looking up from the floor of his prison, and for the first time, he is ready to listen. He is ready to accept that his approach has been fundamentally wrong. He is ready to learn that financial freedom is an inside job. It is at this moment of surrender that the path of the Stoic finally opens up before him, a path leading not to a treasure chest, but to an unbreakable inner citadel. The first lesson on this new path is the most powerful concept in all of Stoicism, the one that Epictetus said was the key to all progress, the dichotomy of control. The idea is simple, yet revolutionary. In life, some things are within our control, and some things are not. Within our control are our judgments, our impulses, our actions, our responses. Outside our control are things like the economy, the stock market, other people's opinions, and the outcomes of our efforts. The financial slave's suffering comes from his obsessive focus on what he cannot control. The Stoic, in stark contrast, directs all of their energy toward the domain of their choices. Let's apply this directly to your finances. You cannot control whether the market goes up or down tomorrow. Fretting about it is as useless as worrying about the tides. But you can control your savings rate. You can control your spending habits. You can control your asset allocation. You can control when you buy and when you sell. You can control your reaction to market news. The moment you shift your focus from the uncontrollable to the controllable, you reclaim your power. Imagine the immense liberation in this. You no longer need to have an opinion on every economic forecast. You no longer need to feel personal panic when the headlines scream recession. Your plan is not dependent on predicting the future, which is impossible. Your plan is dependent on your own disciplined actions, which are entirely within your command. You move from being a passenger tossed about by the waves to the captain of your own ship, steering with a firm hand through any storm, your destination fixed and your resolve steady. This principle disarms the temptation of gambling instantly. The gambler is obsessed with the outcome, the one thing he has zero control over. The Stoic is obsessed with making a virtuous and rational choice, the one thing he has total control over. The Stoic understands that building wealth through disciplined saving and investing is a process governed by his choices. Gambling is a surrender to pure chance. One is an act of empowerment. The other is an act of utter disempowerment. The dichotomy of control makes this distinction crystal clear. Think about your job. You cannot control whether your company will have layoffs next year, but you can control your own value. You can learn new skills, expand your network, and become so valuable that you are indispensable. You can control your emergency fund, building a financial cushion that turns a potential catastrophe into a mere inconvenience. The Stoic prepares for adversity by strengthening what is within his control, building a fortress of competence and preparedness that makes him resilient to the unpredictable whims of the external world. The second powerful Stoic tool is what Seneca called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is not pessimism, it is a strategic form of mental rehearsal. The Stoic regularly takes time to vividly imagine things going wrong. Imagine losing your job. Imagine a severe market crash cutting your portfolio in half. Imagine an unexpected medical emergency. The financial slave spends his life running from these thoughts, which gives them immense power over him. The Stoic calmly turns and faces them. Why do this? For two reasons. First, by contemplating these negative outcomes in advance, you strip them of their shock value. If the worst happens, you have already visited that place in your mind. You will not be paralyzed by panic. You will be ready to act because you have already considered your response. You have a plan. You have rehearsed for this moment. As Seneca said, "He suffers more than is necessary who suffers before it is necessary." The Stoic suffers a little in imagination to save himself a great deal of suffering in reality. Second, this practice cultivates profound gratitude for what you have right now. After meditating on losing your job, you feel a renewed appreciation for the work you have today. After meditating on a market crash, you feel a sense of calm about your current portfolio. You realize that the catastrophes you fear are just thoughts, while the blessings you have are real and present. This practice breaks the curse of hedonic adaptation, the tendency to take our current situation for granted. It makes you rich in the present moment by showing you the value of what you already possess. So, let us do a small exercise. Imagine your net worth is cut in half tomorrow. Feel the initial shock. What would you do? You would cut spending. You would rely on your emergency fund. You would remind yourself that you invest for the long term and that this is a buying opportunity. You would focus on your family, your health, your character, things of true value that no market crash can ever touch. You see, the event does not have to be a catastrophe. It is your response that determines the outcome. You are more resilient than you think. Now, I want to ask you something directly, a question I want you to reflect on. What is the financial fear that keeps you awake at night? Is it the crushing weight of debt, the terrifying volatility of the markets, or the relentless pressure to keep up with a standard of living you can't sustain? Share your story in the comments below. You do not have to face it alone. By naming our fears and sharing our struggles, we build a community of strength, reminding each other that this is a shared human battle. Let us face these challenges together. The third pillar of our new mindset is the concept Marcus Aurelius cherished, amor fati, the love of one's fate. This is the practice of not just accepting what happens, but embracing it as if you had chosen it yourself. It means understanding that every event, especially the painful and difficult ones, is an opportunity for growth, a lesson in disguise. A financial setback is not a punishment, it is a teacher. It teaches you about your risk tolerance, the flaws in your strategy, or the dangers of emotional decision-making. The financial slave cries, "Why me?" when he faces a loss. He sees himself as a victim of circumstance, of bad luck, of an unfair system. This mindset renders him powerless and fills him with resentment. The Stoic asks, "What can I learn from this?" He sees the obstacle not as something blocking his path, but as the path itself. As Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The very thing that you thought was your ruin can become the source of your greatest strength and wisdom. Did you make a terrible investment and lose a significant amount of money? Good. Love that event. It was an expensive but invaluable lesson in due diligence and emotional control that will protect you from much larger losses in the future. Did you get passed over for a promotion? Embrace it. It may be the very fuel you need to start your own business, or to learn a new skill that will double your income down the line. The universe is not conspiring against you. It is providing you with the raw material to forge your character. This mindset is the ultimate antidote to regret. You cannot change the past, Wasting your precious mental energy wishing things had been different is a form of self-torture. Amor fati allows you to integrate your past mistakes into your present self, not as scars of shame, but as badges of wisdom. You are stronger and smarter today precisely because of the hardships you endured yesterday. You look at your financial journey with all its wrong turns and dead ends, and you say, "I would not have it any other way, for it made me who I am." This leads us to a practical physical discipline, voluntary discomfort. The Stoics understood that a person who has never faced hardship is fragile. A person who has only known comfort will be shattered by the slightest touch of adversity. Therefore, they intentionally practiced small, controlled forms of discomfort to build their resilience, to vaccinate themselves against misfortune. Seneca would periodically live on meager rations and sleep on the floor, not because he was poor, but so that he would cease to fear poverty. How can we apply this to our financial lives? It is simpler than you think. Try a no-spend week, where you only pay for absolute necessities. Eat simple, inexpensive meals for a few days. Take a cold shower. By deliberately choosing these small discomforts, you are teaching your mind a powerful lesson. You can not only survive, but thrive on far less than you think. You are breaking the addiction to comfort and luxury that keeps so many people trapped in the cycle of earning and spending. This practice utterly destroys the fear of what if? What if I lose my job and have to live on a tight budget? Well, you have already practiced living on a tight budget. It was not pleasant perhaps, but it was certainly not the end of the world. You know you can handle it. This confidence, this earned resilience, is a form of wealth that no one can ever take from you. You gain a sense of profound freedom when you realize your happiness is not dependent on a specific level of material comfort. You become adaptable, robust, and anti-fragile. Voluntary discomfort also recalibrates your sense of pleasure and gratitude. After a week of simple meals, a normal dinner tastes like a feast. After a cold shower, the feeling of warm water is a sublime luxury. You begin to appreciate the simple, abundant pleasures that are all around you, the ones that cost nothing. You escape the trap of needing more and more stimulation to feel anything, and you find a deep and abiding contentment in the fabric of everyday life. This is a joy that the consumer, always chasing the next high, will never know. All of these practices, the dichotomy of control, premeditatio malorum, amor fati, and voluntary discomfort, are the tools you will use to build your ultimate defense, the inner citadel. This was Marcus Aurelius's metaphor for a fortified mind, a fortress of principles and reason that no external event, no matter how terrible, can breach. Your financial life will be full of storms. Markets will crash. Companies will go bankrupt. Recessions will come and go. The inner citadel is the place of refuge within you that remains untouched by the chaos. The financial slave's mind is an open field, easily overrun by the invading armies of fear and panic. The Stoic's mind is a fortress. When bad news arrives, he retreats into his citadel. He consults his principles. He reminds himself of what is and is not in his control. He reflects on past adversities he has overcome. He makes decisions not from a place of emotional reaction, but from a place of calm, rational strength. The external event is the same for both the slave and the Stoic. The internal experience is worlds apart. Building this citadel takes time and consistent effort. Every time you choose a disciplined response over an emotional one, you are adding another stone to its walls. Every time you practice voluntary discomfort, you are reinforcing its foundations. Every time you embrace a setback as a lesson, you are training the guards at its gates. It is a lifelong project, the most important work you will ever do. For what is the point of gaining the whole world if you have no peace within your own soul? The art of Stoic wealth is the understanding that this inner citadel is the ultimate wealth. Financial assets are external, they can be lost. Your house can burn down, your stocks can go to zero. But your character, your resilience, your inner peace, These are internal possessions. Once forged, they are yours forever. This is the only treasure that is truly secure, the only investment that provides a guaranteed return for the rest of your life. It is the wealth that allows you to be happy with little and to be serene with much. Now, let us revisit the man we met at the beginning of our journey, but he is a different person now. He has walked the Stoic path. He is no longer the financial slave. He is the Stoic sage. He still lives in the same world, with the same pressures and challenges, but his internal landscape has been completely transformed. The chains have not been magically broken, they have been philosophically dissolved. He has freed himself by changing the only thing he ever could, his own mind. The sage sees the same advertisement for a new luxury car that once would have filled him with envy and desire. Now he feels nothing but indifference. He knows that the car cannot grant him tranquility or wisdom. He has separated his needs from his wants, and he finds his joy not in accumulation, but in simplicity and purpose. He derives his self-worth from his character, from his actions, from his contributions to others, not from the brand names he wears or the logos on his possessions. He is immune to the disease of consumerism. He looks at his remaining debt not with fear, but with a calm sense of purpose. Each payment is not a source of pain, but a mindful step towards complete freedom. He is no longer a slave to his obligations. He is the master of his repayment plan. He has embraced his past mistakes, using the lessons they taught him to build a stronger, more disciplined financial life. The debt no longer has power over his emotions. It is simply a mathematical problem to be solved with patience and persistence. The thought of entering an online casino or placing a bet is now utterly absurd to him. Why would he surrender his hard-earned money to pure chance when he has discovered the profound satisfaction of building wealth through his own virtuous actions? He understands that the thrill of gambling is a cheap imitation of true fulfillment. He seeks his challenges not in games of luck, but in the noble pursuit of self-improvement, in building a business, in mastering a skill, in being a reliable pillar for his family and community. And the stock market. It no longer holds any sway over his peace of mind. The Stoic sage invests with the patience of a farmer planting a tree. He knows that there will be seasons of drought and seasons of storm, but he trusts in the long-term process of growth. When the market panics, he feels a sense of calm, even opportunity. He has retreated into his inner citadel, and from its high walls, he watches the emotional chaos of the crowds below with a sense of detached compassion. He acts with reason while others are driven by fear. He wakes up in the morning, and his first thought is not of his portfolio, but of the kind of person he wants to be today. He meditates on a quote from Marcus Aurelius. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. His day is guided by his values, not by the fluctuations of the market. He has discovered that the richest person is not the one who has the most, but the one who needs the least. He has found a wealth that is independent of his net worth. This is the art of Stoic wealth. It is the deep, unshakable understanding that true prosperity is inner peace. It is the resilience to withstand any financial storm without losing your tranquility. It is the wisdom to know the difference between what is truly valuable, like your character, your time, and your relationships, and what is merely a tool, like money. It is the freedom from the mental anguish of desire, fear, and regret. It is the power to live a good, virtuous, and happy life, regardless of your financial circumstances. This transformation is available to you right now. It does not require you to be a genius investor or a high-income earner. It requires something far more fundamental, a decision to stop being a slave to your emotions and to the external world. A decision to start the work of building your inner citadel stone by stone, day by day. The path is simple, but it is not easy. It requires courage, consistency, and a commitment to living a life of reason and virtue. The ancient wisdom of the Stoics is your guide. The journey begins with a single conscious breath. It begins the next time you feel the urge to make an impulsive purchase and you choose to pause. It begins the next time the market falls and you choose to zoom out and look at the long-term chart instead of panicking. It begins the next time you feel envy and you choose to feel gratitude instead. Each of these small choices is a victory, a small act of rebellion against your old self, a step away from the slave and towards the sage that resides within you. Thank you for walking this path with us today. The wisdom we have shared is not meant to be passively consumed, but actively lived. This is your life, your mind, and your freedom at stake. If this message resonated with you, please subscribe and press the like button to help us continue our mission. We release new videos on financial stoicism every single day to provide you with the daily reinforcement you need to stay on the path and build your own fortress of inner peace and lasting wealth. Your journey has just begun.